Hello everyone! So today's video, I'm going to be reading all my UC PIQs that I submitted to get into all the UCs that I applied for. I applied to UC Irvine, UC Davis, UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC Santa Cruz, and Santa Barbara. If you want to see my reaction to all the decisions, you can go look on my other video. There was a little plot twist, okay, with UCLA. I put my heart and soul into these essays, and I watched so many YouTube videos of people reading their essays, and that helped me so much. I am a transfer student from a California community college, so you have to pick 4, and one of them is going to be about your major specific, because when you're transferring, you have to transfer in with a major. I feel like the essays are such a big part of your application, and the YouTube videos helped me so much. So I just want to help out the next round of transfers. Let's just get started. I know what you're here for. So let's start with the major specific prompt. Please describe how you've prepared for your intended major, including your readiness to succeed in upper division courses once you enroll in the university. My curiosity for art started in the city of love when I went to Paris the summer after graduating high school. First destination was the Louvre. Everyone wanted to see the Mona Lisa, so I followed. As I stood behind the crowd, my thoughts were, why do people care so much? Who even is Mona Lisa, and why is it so small? I moved through the crowd, trying to get closer, looking for brushstrokes and not finding any. I could have sworn she was looking at me. I thought back on this experience when I came back to college after a 3-year break. I took my first art history class, and the first lecture sparked my passion. My professor was a Black woman who centered art of Black people who weren't slaves. She empowered the Black community by bringing positive and necessary representation. Right then, I saw what I could do for my community. As a first-generation Thai-American immigrant, my purpose is to make experiences like mine a part of art history. The History of Art, A Global View by Robertson and Hutton, emphasizes that artworks from all around the world make up our shared human inheritance. Shouldn't Thai art be a part of our human legacy? I never felt represented, so I want to further my education with a global perspective. With my degree, I plan to work in digital archiving. It reflects my passion and resonates with the new possibilities of the digital age, using technology to preserve and share art. I was inspired by a project I did in class. I explored virtual exhibits uploaded by museums worldwide. I saw a future in making art from marginalized communities accessible on Western media. Art connects me with cultures as a universal language. You don't need to know their language to understand their art. It explores depths words can't reach. I believe that art has the power to evoke emotion and empathy. Through art, I can help cultivate appreciation and understanding for these cultures and give people the representation I've always needed, preserving it for future generations. You're very limited with words, so I had to be really straightforward, but I just talked about why I chose my major and the experiences that led me to it and what I plan to do with it. They want to know that you're not going to try to switch majors after you transfer. Next, I chose describe how you have taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity or worked to overcome an educational barrier you have faced. This one is pretty personal, and oh my god, bro. You don't use it, you lose it, my dad would say. I always thought of muscles and exercise. I never knew it would one day apply to my brain. The biggest educational barrier that I have faced and overcame was my brain injury. I was hit by a drunk driver, and I have struggled with cognitive issues since. I rehabilitated myself with daily brain games, and I learned a new language. I struggled a lot as someone with an invisible disability, but I have learned to advocate for myself in ways that I hadn't before. I built resilience and relentlessness because I refused to let that accident define me. I worked consistently to overcome it, and I built incredible habits that I now use every day in school. Few people could see how mundane tasks were a challenge for me. I felt stupid at first, but I refused to let that stop me. Struggling with daily headaches, memorization, and word recall, I began to do research on how I could work this muscle. From research, I found some things I could start doing. Daily brain games, and learning my 4th language. I learned to use my brain as much as possible. Exercising my brain was my way to regain my normal brain function. That's when I kept hearing my dad's voice in the back of my head. You don't use it, you lose it. I used it as my motto and started with small habits like 5 minutes of brain games when I wake up, working myself up to bigger ones like enrolling in a Spanish class. During this journey, I found a passion for learning and turned my struggles into lifelong positive habits. I found how much education meant to me, and it catapulted me into going back to community college, transferring, and pursuing a higher education. I gained so much gratitude for my brain and knowledge. I didn't let my brain injury define me. Rather, it became my defining moment. I think it's super important to be vulnerable in these essays. The next prompt that I chose was describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over time. My proudest leadership experience is helping my brother overcome obesity and reversing his prediabetes. I always struggled to help him through his battles, but it wasn't until I gained the weight myself that I learned how to help him. I never struggled with my weight until an injury. I gained weight so fast, I had stretch marks every place you could name. I hated my body, but I didn't know how to change it. One night redefined everything for me. I was in my room when I heard my mom screaming. I followed her voice and saw my brother lifeless in her arms. The ambulance took him to the hospital and we found out he was pre-diabetic. Diabetes runs in our family, so I realized I faced the same fate. I knew I had to do something, even with no experience or knowledge. I realized I had to start with myself. Every decision became crucial. The right foods, but not too much of it. Go to the gym and actually know what to do there. I had to become disciplined because progress only comes from consistency. I researched extensively to adapt my strategies, overcome plateaus, and address weight regain. Then I developed a plan for my brother. I took on the trial and error process to learn how to simplify everything and guarantee his success. I calculated his calorie deficit and cooked his healthy meals. I took him to the gym with me and taught him everything I had learned. I practiced the same habits alongside him as a team, working towards a common goal. By relating to him and leading by example, I guided him towards healthier habits. Now, we're both at a healthy weight and he is no longer pre-diabetic. This journey taught me the power of leading by example. I learned how much impact my actions have on others. It made me a better leader as I learned that putting myself in others' shoes is a crucial part of leading. This success motivates me to keep helping people and continue making positive changes in others' lives. Next prompt, I chose, what would you say is your greatest talent or skill? How have you developed and demonstrated that talent over time? My ability to connect with diverse audiences is my strongest skill. I came to the United States from Thailand when I was only 7 years old, not knowing a lick of English. The first couple years were full of confusion. I didn't know the language or understand the culture. Through my unconventional upbringing, I've developed skills of communication that can engage people from all walks of life. I learned to understand my audience and adapt my language as I see needed. I cultivate community everywhere I go. I've always been bullied for not understanding cultural references. I didn't grow up listening to the same music or celebrating the same holidays as most around me. The majority of the people I know couldn't point to Thailand on a map. I never want to make someone else feel out of place in the same ways I did. As I navigate the world with my half Thai, half American lenses, I bring people together based not just on our commonalities, but our differences. I use these communication skills to grow my TikTok page with videos from my recent trip to Thailand. I raised an awareness and appreciation for Thai culture, a big part of my identity. My top video accumulated 22 million views and over 12,000 comments. I shared my culture and the feedback was immense. I also created a platform for others to highlight shared experiences and unique parts of their culture. I've engaged a worldwide audience with my personal stories that resonated with millions. Using inclusive and accessible language, I presented my culture in a way that everyone can understand. This is truly my greatest skill and I intend to keep developing it. I learned the power of my voice and I want to make a positive global impact. Diversity cultivates community. I proudly built one online and I will strive to do the same at your school and in my future career. Those were my essays that got me into all these schools. You know, like when you're going through hardships in your life, you're like, nobody understands me. Like, I wish I could make a documentary or write a book about my life, then people would really get me. People would really understand me and what I've had to go through and what I'm about. And I feel like I kind of just did that with these essays, and obviously that translated really well in this process. I did not have a high GPA and I didn't do anything like crazy for extracurricular. But yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Mwah.